He ran.
This is Kerry Shawcross. He is our producer and director. And serves peanuts on the side.
Yeah. Hello, hello.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, how are y'all?
All right. So, how does it feel trying to balance two very large genre franchises and make it all work for fans?
Scary. It's especially early on, it was really intimidating. We ultimately, we want to do justice to everybody. We want, if you're a RWBY fan, we want you to watch this movie and go, wow, that's really fun, RWBY story. If you're a DC fan, we want you to watch this and go, wow, that's a really fun DC story. That's hard to do. Impossible to make everybody happy. So I think, it's just kind of, part of it was realizing that, we're just going to do our very best and have fun with it. And we did.
Good.
We had fun.
All right.
Where would you like me to look?
Wherever.
Okay. Just want to check.
But after some things are announced, there's sometimes a little bit of backlash via the internet and anything.
Sure.
Were you subject to any of that?
I mean, yeah, I feel like, almost everything these days, you put out new information, and a lot of people are really happy, and then there's some people that are going to be unhappy. Almost, a lot of things that we do, there's a subset of people who don't like it or wish we did it differently. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion, and sometimes they have very valid feedback, and we of course listen and read it. But ultimately, at the end of the day, we're going to keep doing what we think is best,
right?
And just do something that we like.
Okay.
Like, what is it like to work with such a big voice cast?
It was in a lot of ways same and different, right? Is that RWBY as a show has a lot of characters on its own that are kind of all over the world. We've got a lot of people in Austin, but we're always working with people in LA and other countries. So in that way it was similar, but in other ways, to work with some of these the people on the DC side who have done live action things, who are it was a different. Different level. It was, again, kind of intimidating at first, but everybody's been so kind through the process, and I think the kind of prevailing thing throughout all of this was that just everybody wanted to do their best, and they wanted to make this the best it could be, and I think that really shows through.
The voice actors, and I forget the term that they use,
sure.
But some sort of like motion capture that you guys did with the animation. Talk about that, because I'm interested in that. And
sure.
And how that played into the directing of the film.
Yeah, so for since its inception, we do 3D animation, so we'll utilize motion capture in that, which is where we have depending on the scene, 1 to 6, 7, 8 people sometimes go into a room, suit up with those, black suits with white dots on them, and we'll play back the audio, look at the storyboards, and kind of act out the scene. And that's that's something that we have been using since the very beginning of the show. With COVID, which this production was all done after, and since then we've had to change that a little bit. So in the past, where we would maybe have again 2 to 4, however many people were in the scene, but we would get that many actors come in and act it out. For this movie and all the stuff we've done lately, it's been one person going in, acting out multiple parts, and then the animation team in the same way still stitching all that data together and adding to it. And there's some scenes where we use motion capture for. A lot of it we don't actually. Sometimes we usually use it for the more complicated motions or like maneuvers. It's a great way to get a very real performance. But ultimately it comes down to the animator that's animated that data and use it as a base to mold it into the performance.
The RWBY Justice League movie is going to debut here at Wondercon later today, and I'm curious, are there any character interactions in the film where you thought to yourself, okay, I took the chocolate, I took the peanut butter, here's your Reese's cup?
Man, it's going to be such a cop-out to say all of them. I think what I'll say is, Megan the writer and everybody who worked on the story, and Rebus and Dan Shore and how I want to everybody who contributed to the story. I think it's obviously an ensemble cast, and there's a lot of scenes with everybody, but there's some very distinct pairs to it all that I think worked out really well together. I think that Probably the one that I think just like, felt just it made perfect sense was Weiss and Bruce Batman, just because they both come from this kind of like more high society, but neither of them really like that aspect of it, and have kind of are striving to break out from that and do what's right for everybody and not just the people at the top. I love all of them. I think just on paper that one just it felt really good.
You're working with a universe that you're very familiar with, but you're smashing in a whole other one.
Right.
How did you, as a director and a producer, manage to something?
Really very carefully and with the help of a lot of people. We, like I said, from the very beginning, Megan, I think it worked out really well that, this was, in a lot of ways a RWBY thing, right? Like our team who does the series animated it, I directed it. So having Megan, who's very familiar with the DC universe, come in and write it, I think was essential at that point, because it made sure that we could be true to both of them. So, that was a big part of it. And also, so many members of our staff are also big DC fans, that like throughout the way, either in the storyboarding process or animating process or the concepting process, people mention like we throw out an idea and be like, oh well, that might not work for this character because of this thing that they know already. I was like, oh great, perfect. Like okay, we'll do this instead. So it was really a collaborative effort to in a lot of ways it was easy to still make it feel RWBY, and we just had to work hard to make sure it still felt DC and Justice League.
I don't know if we have time for one more, but if we do,
I'm sitting here until they move.
Yeah. So we got that part one poll in.
Yeah.
Could you
No comment. I guess I would just say that it sure would be silly for us to name it part one if there was only one movie. But that's all I can say on that. Yeah. Cool.
Thank you.
I guess that's it. Okay, yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you.